Hello, and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that streaming idiot, coming to you with what is going to be a really interesting show today. And generally, I don't think this stuff is interesting. Generally, I'm like, oh my gosh, what kind of idiotic stuff am I going to come up with today? But I've got some really cool things to talk about. I really can't wait. And I will say for the folks in the chat room that y'all need to behave today, this time for sure. If you're not watching us live, do pop in live because we do have a great time in the chat room. We start the pre-show about a half an hour before the posted show time. The posted show time is 3 o'clock on the East Coast in the United States, 8 o'clock in England, and 5 a.m. Thursday morning in Australia, assuming that we're all on the same kind of schedule in terms of British summertime and daylight savings time and that kind of thing. Otherwise, it gets messed up by an hour, but it only lasts a week or two. So come watch us live sometime. It'll be a lot of fun. In fact, we've got a live show coming up. We're going to schedule. We'll try something different next month. I think about this time next month, we're going to do a morning show in the U.S., which will be an earlier show, maybe a late afternoon show in the UK, and it'll be impossible to watch in Australia because it'll be the middle of the night. But we just wanted to give a different time slot a shot and see how it was received. So we'll make sure you have plenty of notice about that if you want to watch us live at a time that you wouldn't otherwise be able to watch. So that's going to be fun. Remember, one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. And you don't start out at awesome. You start out at the other A word. Awful. Go back 3 years ago and look at some of our early videos. I really tried. But it was one guy. It was definitely one PC. And it was not yet awesome. And we're still striving for awesome. And I want to give a thanks and a shout out to all the folks like Charles Campbell and Martin Kay that have helped me immensely over the years in advice. And the background here is a gift from Charles. I don't think Charles is in the chat room today. But I want to thank you for helping me. Every time you send me a question, every time you call with a problem, it helps me be better because it means the next time somebody calls with that problem, hey, I've already troubleshooted a couple of times. Troubleshot, whatever. I've already dealt with it a couple of times. And so it'll be easier for the next person. I had somebody call me last night, and we were talking through a problem, and they were reluctant to do some trial and error. I think they were afraid of making a mistake. And you got to get used to making mistakes in this business. Somebody was saying in the chat room this morning how much they learn from my mistakes. But that's the idea. I make the mistakes, so hopefully you don't have to. You're going to make even grander mistakes than I do because you're going to be not making basic mistakes. You're going to be making really good, complicated mistakes. Remember, as you put your systems together, both the hardware and software and workflow, try to keep it as simple as you possibly can. Because when it breaks, simple is easier to fix. And simple breaks less easily. So simple. Write it down. Document, know what you're doing, what you're saying. I don't have much there today, but that's all I need. But I've got pages and pages of other notes of things that I've tried and didn't work over the years, so that I can come back to that if I bump into the same problem again. Okay, that's the monologue for today. Got a question for you. Should you upgrade from Windows 7 or Windows 8 or 8.1 to Windows 10? Has enough time passed by that it's safe to upgrade to Windows 10? I was about to upgrade my production machine to Windows 10 yesterday, and I held off. And I see somebody in the chat room saying, no, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I trust, Eric, that means maybe that you've had a bad problem. Yeah. And Martin says he hasn't even looked at it yet. I did take possession of an Asus ROC laptop that has a Thunderbolt port because I want to do some experimenting with Thunderbolts. And it came in with 8.1, which I hate 8. So I went ahead and said, let's go ahead. It's kind of an experimental machine for me. Anyway, let's go ahead and upgrade to 10, and we can get used to it and see what's going on with 10. And then found out this morning, actually, that ASUS has put out a bunch of more drivers for that specific laptop to help it become more 10 compatible. So we'll go ahead and get that up to date. My hope is maybe not next week, maybe not the week after that, but maybe the week after that, to actually do this show on that laptop to show how you can do a good full multi-camera production on a portable PC like a laptop. You don't need one of those $5,000 portable PCs. You can sort of make it up as you go along. So, but more on that later as we get to that point. So Windows 10, I've got a no, I'm waiting for SP1, and I haven't even looked at it yet. So that's a very unenthusiastic response. Well, actually, it's very enthusiastic on the no part. So maybe I'll wait on my production machine a little bit longer. Hey, I know what I'll do. I'll wait until I know my laptop is a good replacement for my production machine, and then I'll upgrade my production machine to Windows 10. And if something goes awry, I've got the laptop to fall back on without having to really give up a whole lot. So there's a plan. Thank you. That was great. That helped me with that. Last week we looked a little bit at virtual studios, and they were kind of fun. And so I thought I would go ahead and introduce you guys to my virtual office. Actually, this is the boardroom in my office, and we've moved into some new facilities, and so we've upgraded with a conference room, and the conference room allows me to have lots of guests here that I can talk to, and I hope you'll come by and join me in the conference room. Obviously, that's a bunch of crap. That's not the truth. The truth is, this is a picture that I borrowed off of the internet this morning. I just Googled law offices images and got this really nice image. I'll show you what it looks like in regular. This is what it looks like normally. And then I took the virtual studio portion of VidBlaster and went ahead and added added my chroma key image without the matte, without the picture. This is what I look like right here. So I just sort of crafted myself the right size, and if I lift my arms out too far, then obviously you can see the square that is my camera. And as we do the same thing in the studio, you can see that we've got these limitations here. What I do want to do, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, is to begin to work with this some more and set up. And obviously, I'm not quite the right proportion for this. I should be a little bit higher in this chair. But it's to go ahead and set up with a green screen desktop so that I can have the desktop, and then we'll have to figure out some ways to get things. Somebody says my cushion has been stolen again. Martin doesn't like it when I'm in this shot. So we'll go back to the other shot. That'll make me feel more comfortable. There we go. But the idea with the screen like that is that you can put yourself anywhere in the world you want to. Lighting is going to be important. You can't have bright lights if you're on an indoor picture unless it's a bright indoor picture. If it's a dim picture, you need to dim your lighting accordingly. If you're outside, then you need to have outside equivalent lighting. And it can be done, but it's a matter of trial and error. But it can be a lot of fun, too. It can be a lot of fun. I've been working with a high school that has a green screen, and they're so funny. You know, they put the green screen in it, and it's all folded up and got wrinkles in it and creases in it. And so we have to work with the lighting to get the lighting where the creases don't end up being shadows in the chroma key. But they're having so much fun with it because they can be anywhere in the world they want to, and they've learned how to kind of adjust their lighting so that it looks right. And here there's, you know, probably a dozen teenagers, and they're sitting around playing with this stuff and having fun with it. So it will fit for all ages. But today's virtual studio was simply going to the internet and getting a photograph and dropping that photograph in. So you can do that anywhere. You can be anywhere you want to. You can be on a Hawaiian island. You can be on Mount Everest. And nobody will know the difference. The little transition there I was using is vMix's new merge feature, where basically they're going to take my image and compare it to the next image. Well, let me show you. Well, I can't show you myself side by side because it takes me out of the picture. But suffice to say that the merge is really nice because it's going to take me and just drop me in the chair and then boom, drop me back in the studio, and that's a lot of fun. It's fun to have fun. It's fun to have fun, but it's not fun when things don't work right, and it's not fun when you can't do what you want to do. So let's say you've got a PC and you want to add some more audio inputs and audio outputs. How can you do that without buying a new sound card? Well, one of the ways you can do that is with the Behringer UCA 202. And what the Behringer UCA 202 is, and let me put it here on the desktop where you can see a little bit better. The Behringer UCA 202, sorry, it's a really messy desktop, but essentially it's a USB device, plugs in USB, and gives you stereo inputs and stereo outputs, so that you can now have, let's say you're doing a mix minus on your mixer with Skype, you can use this for half of the mix minus. If you need another input into your PC, audio input into your PC, here you go, you can do it. Hey Charles, welcome, glad to see you here. I'll tell you about the zoom in and out in just a second. That's my friend Dr. Charles Campbell from South Carolina, just joined us in the chat room. But the UCA 202, they're not expensive, and it's a good thing to have in your toolkit. Now, the other thing that you'll want to have in your black bag of kind of magic devices is going to be the right cable. It'll make it a whole lot easier if you've got a cable that's RCA, so you can plug directly in there. And then it's 1/4 inch on the other side, so you can plug directly into your mixer. I hope I don't lose you here. Directly into your mixer on the other side. So boom, there you go. And a pair of those will give you stereo. They also make a cable that's got a pair of these already connected on one end. So there are lots of different ways you can configure this guy. And remember that audio is just a giant logic puzzle, a bunch of gates in and out. You got to get the gates right in order for everything to work. Okay. So let's go back there. We're going to catch Charles up. Charles, I do want you to watch this video later, and I'm glad you tuned in today. But let's go back to the virtual studio and get that guy queued up. I'm going to use the merge function right here, Charles, and basically that just merges my camera shot from one shot to the other. But I've taken an image, and I'll show you the image right here. This is an image on the internet, and I have basically laid my image inside of that, and so I can now suddenly be appearing in my very own boardroom. And as part of vMix's virtual studio setup, I can do a couple of different zooms that zoom automatically and zoom everything, so we can zoom right on in. And I'll do a more complete demo on that later and do a screenshot so you can see how I'm doing it. But it's a lot of fun. And basically what I'm using is I'm using just a little teeny weeny little me to make that happen. So that's, and basically then here I come, whoop, right over there, and we're back in business. So that's kind of a quick and dirty. There we go, back to there. On the a repeat of what we were talking about just a second ago with the Virtual Studio. So let's see, Virtual Studio, and UCA 202, Windows 10. Let's talk a little bit about how to get things to work automatically. In Wirecast, I believe you can set up macros. In VidBlaster, if you have the right level of software, there's the home version, Pro, Studio, and Broadcast. If you have Broadcast or Studio, you have the access to the API. And in the API, you can write up commands. And with the macro function, you can write up those commands and have those executed for you automatically. In vMix, there are two different ways. They're almost identical, but really they're not, to accomplish the same or similar purposes. And one is called shortcuts, which is truly macros, and the other is called triggers. And both of those are built into every level of vMix. So when you start at the basic vMixes and go all the way up to the professional level, the $1,200 package with the four cameras, instant replay, all that fun stuff. All of that's in there. And let's see, I should have set up, I keep forgetting to set up these screenshots in advance. But let's see if we can, oh, I've got one right here. All right, let's use this screenshot right there. And forget about the screen in the top right-hand corner up here. That's just going off to infinity because that's a shot of a shot of a shot of a shot. I'm actually in the preview window over here. Directly below me, you can see the inputs, and there are 3 different cameras because they're doing different things right there. I mean, they're all the same shot. But then in the bottom right-hand corner, and yeah, you can see my cursor a little bit, there is a little command down here called View Shortcuts. So we can pop that up, and it's going to pop up a window, a shortcut window, that shows us the shortcuts that are available. But really what we want to do, we're just going to ignore these for a second, and we're going to go into the edit portion. And that's where we can actually edit the, let me check one thing here before we go there. Let's just make sure we've got this on sharpened so you can see the text better. There we go. All right, so we're going to go back to shortcuts. We're going to go to edit, and you can see a list of shortcuts that I've already defined. But the way that we add a shortcut, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the MIDI controllers. But if you just have a regular keyboard and you don't have a MIDI controller, you can use shortcuts too. So if we wanted to use a shortcut to let's say cut straight to a particular shot that we wanted, because we didn't want to have to set that up in preview and go find it or do anything like that. We just wanted to press one button and have that happen. We would go into Add, and then we could pick a key. What key did we want? Well, let's pick, I think F9 is available on my keyboard, not being used as anything. So I'm going to scroll down, and you can see, you know, here are all the command keys from your keyboard, the number pad keys, the function keys, and you may have special keyboards that have some of this stuff already, so we're not going to go through that. We're just going to pick out something easy, which is F9. So when I press the F9 key, we want something to happen. Well, what do we want to happen? So we're going to go to function right here and tell it what is the function that we want to happen. Well, in this case, I want to do a cut. I just want to cut straight to a shot or a video. So I'm going to scroll. I've got all sorts of categories here on the left side. But I also have the ability to go through this with some common commands up front, right through here, and then after that, the commands are in alphabetical order. But every command that's available is here. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to get syntax right. Just come over here and pick it. So I'm going to pick cut. Boom. So we got that. The duration, we're not going to worry about for the moment. And the input basically is going to be, what do we want to cut to? Well, let's cut to our virtual studio shot. So we're going to scroll down to the very bottom here of the ones that we put in. And which one is it? You know, I'm not sure which one it is. It might be this one right here. We'll try that. We'll just try it and see what happens. The worst we can do is screw it up. We're not going to assign a shortcut to an input number. We're not going to make this a local shortcut that is only in this set of previews. We want it to appear in every set of previews we already have. And we do want this to show in the web controller, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So we're going to click OK, and then we'll click OK again. So when I press F9, something is coming up to this program window here on the right. I'm not sure what it's going to be. There it is. It is that little teeny camera shot. That's not the camera shot I wanted. This is the one I wanted right here. So let's rename this our boardroom so that we can find it. So let's go back here, and the boardroom shot is this shot right here that we want to find. So let's go back down to our shortcuts, go back to Edit, go back to F9, so we're going to scroll down a little bit right here, and we're going to edit it, and we're going to tell it the input is not virtual Tom main cam 29. It is boardroom. So let's go see if we can find boardroom. There it is, right there, boardroom number 26. So we'll go OK and OK again. Now the boardroom is sitting over here in the preview window anyway, so let's put something else in preview so that we know that we've actually changed the shot to boardroom. So what should happen if we've done this correctly is that so that you should see that everything here in the preview, in the program window right here, will now be that boardroom shot. So it'll go straight to the boardroom shot when I press F9, if I did it right. Bang, there we go. F9. F9's got that right. So, and we're going to go back to this little shot right here for a second. So the idea is, if we go down to shortcuts, go to Edit, we can take any key that's available to us on the keyboard or on a MIDI control keyboard. And let's just come back to Add. We'll use F8 because I don't think we're using F8 for anything. And we can use F8 to do any number of transitions right here. We can turn audio off and on. We can go full screen. We can set all sorts of functions in instant replay. We can turn overlays off and on. We can queue things up in preview. We can just almost any function that's available, we can do that. And one of the other things that's a little fun, and let's go back to F9 for just a second. F9 is the one that we just did. Let's say that we also wanted to incorporate another one, F12. So we could go to F9, Edit, and then go to Advanced and say, okay, in addition to doing the other thing, we want you to trigger F12. So we're going to cue F12 up here. And what does F12 do? F12 puts the Streaming Idiot show closing into preview. So if we've done this correctly, when I press F9, The boardroom shot will be the shot you get, and then you won't be able to see it. Because, let's just try it, F9. And absolutely, it worked like a charmer. Worked like a charm. Okay. You'll have to play with that one on your own. It's a lot of fun. So let's look at that. That's shortcuts. So let's look at triggers for a second. Now shortcuts happen kind of outside of any specific input. We can specify inputs, but and let's do this for a second. I feel like I was so small there for a second. We can specify inputs, but we can also take inputs and make things happen as a result of the input. So let's take our Logitech HD webcam C310, and we're going to go into the settings section on that, and we're going to come down here on the left side to triggers. So here in the triggers, I can make things happen when other things happen. So I know that wasn't a very good explanation. Right here I have a drop-down menu, and I can say, in regards to this particular input for the C310, when I transition it in, for example, I want something else to happen. And so I might want the audio to go on from, where's an MP3 on here? No, there's got to be one. There it is right there, MP3. So I'm going to add that. I also want on transition for audio to start. Is that an option? Audio, auto, off, auto. I should have tried this ahead of time. Audio play on. There we go. And we'll do that with the same thing, so that when we shift, we'll add that one. So that when we take this input, our C310, and we send it over to program, if I've done it right, we should start playing music. So let's see what happens. Yep, I didn't do it right. Let's go down to find our music file. It is, actually should be right there. Where did I put it? Well, we can find it by going here, because this is everything, and then we can see what level we've assigned it to. Well, it should be, oh, there it is right there. We put it on the dark blue level. So let's go down to dark blue. Fresh and fun. And we need to tell it to play, I guess, huh? There we go. Okay. So let's go back to our trigger for the Logitech. And let's take that one out. And then let's take a look and see what our other options are with audio here. Well, let's see if it'll work with just one. I think we're okay there. Oops, didn't mean to do that, so we'll take it out. So we will go back when we cut over. Let's go down to the dark blue screen, and we're going to watch our fresh and fun right here. We'll take it off of audio and take it off of loop and see what happens when we pop in. Nothing, nothing. So I have got, again, my apologies for not being better with this. Let's see, let's go back here and figure out which trigger we need to do to make that. When we cut to that cam on transition in, we want this input to play. I wonder if there's just a play command. There we go. Let's see if that does it. So, we got it. Oh, no. Didn't set. Play. So we'll add that one. We'll take out the other one. So, if I've done it correctly now, when we click cut here, it should move the webcam to the program and play the music. Let's go over to the music tab so we can see that's our tab right down there. And we'll see what we did. Ah, it did. You heard it click, but it didn't stay on. I can turn it on, but it doesn't stay on. That's a problem that I was having before with my theme music and the intro at the very beginning. So that looks like a bug. The way I fixed it this morning is I removed that input and then put it back. Do we have time to do that? Oh heck, let's just take an extra minute and see if that fixes it. I hate to leave you hanging. So we're going to take this, let's stop it. We're going to take Fresh and Fun MP3 and we're going to close it. That is, we're going to get rid of it. And then we're going to add it back. So we're going to add an audio Fresh and Fun MP3. There it is right there. Okay, and there it is right there. Is that it? And let's, there we go. Okay, all right. So we'll restart that. Then we'll come back up to our cam. And we'll have to adjust this because there's no input that was found. And we want it to be Fresh and Fun MP3. So it's on transition in, play, Fresh and Fun MP3. Got it. So let's go get our cam up here. And let's go down and watch our input right there. Whoops. I outsmarted myself on that one. All right, let's go back. We're just going to keep an eye on that, but we're not going to click it. So if we've done this right, when we take the webcam and put it into program, it should play that music. Let's see if we got it. Well, it doesn't want to play. Look at that. I'll cut back here and you can see the audio will not turn on. Huh. Now I can turn it on. Let's add another trigger and see if that another trigger will fix it. Otherwise, we may have found a little bug here. So we're going to configure trigger. We're going to add a new trigger on transition. We want to turn on the audio. Audio on at MP3. Fresh and Fun MP3. There we go. Okay, so let's see if that happens. We'll try one more time. Oh, let's go down where we can watch. We're going to watch that guy. Oh, I guess we ought to stop him first. So let's try it. There we go. How about that? Okay, a lot harder than it should have been. So there we go. So we've got a trigger set up to take, and we'll go back to this capture for just a second. We've got a trigger set up to take the webcam. Once the webcam goes from preview to program, it's going to start the music, and then it's going to turn the sound on. Apparently it won't do it automatically, so that's really pretty cool. we will hope that. Oh, there it is. It's still going, so we have to turn it off, I guess. Need to have a button to turn it off. so let's turn the audio back up on that one so that you can hear it. So let's try one more time. And there's actually another button that will allow you to restart the audio. So essentially you can control all of the audio functions. I think I even had it set up to control with my Korg Nano Control a couple of weeks ago, where I could start music, I could adjust the volume, and when I stopped it, I could restart it. I could reset it, rewind it back to the beginning. So it's just a matter of knowing what you want to accomplish and then accomplishing it. Yeah, a lot of the things that you can do with triggers, you can also do with shortcuts, and a lot of things you can do with shortcuts, you can do with triggers, but they're not completely interchangeable. But they are kind of real close cousins, and they will help make your broadcast more easier. They'll help your workflow become simpler, but they do add a level of complexity to what you want to do. So as you can see, it took me a couple of tries to get that one right, because I don't understand exactly what all those little short commands mean. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. Now in vMix, if you click the question mark in the top right-hand corner, it will bring up the help menu, and you can go to a list of all the shortcut commands. But I'll say, as a criticism, they're not very well defined. It's supposed to give you the definition of what they do, but they're not very good. I mean, if you know if you know everything already, then they make sense. But the whole idea is for those of us that don't know how to make it right, how to make it work the way it should be. Well, I appreciate you taking time with me today to go through this. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe. Probably should mention this at the top of the show. I am an authorized reseller for VidBlaster and vMix, and we have lots of other goodies that we're adding into our store at easternshorebroadcasting.com. If you have a question about a product, take a look there. If it's in the store, I may have also added a review, my personal review of it, to talk about how I've used it and how it worked for me. It may be software, it may be a product, or it may be a product that a close friend has used, and I'm taking their word for how it worked. Let's see, I've got something showing up today. Oh, yeah, it's just a cable, so it's not going to be anything earth-shattering or exciting. But I hope you'll join us again next week when we, and I've got a trigger. I've got a shortcut set up that, if I can remember what number it is, I think it's 12. Yes, that put the show closing in the preview over here to the right. So assuming that I've got that trigger set up, when I shift it over and fade into it and the teeth close up on me, it should play music if I've done it right. I tested it this morning and it worked this morning, but sometimes these little electronic gremlins get into things. Anyway, I'm rambling. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Shoot me an email if you think I can help you. If you want to buy something from our store, obviously I make a commission on it, and I appreciate your support in that way. So, I'm Tom Sinclair, your Streaming Idiot, and we will see you next time on Streaming Idiots. Yay, it worked! Woo!